Hello, students. You're welcome to today's lesson on Diction and Dialogue, a literary technique in African drama. In other words, diction and dialogue in African drama. And we are going to use two major plays to exemplify this. The plays are Let Me Die Alone by John K. Kagbo and The Lion and the Joe by Wole Soyinka, so that you can have a solid understanding of diction and dialogue in African drama and also excel excellently in whatever literature examination that you might be preparing for. So, are you ready to learn with me today? Get your writing materials and let's begin. I am Romeso Adeyemo from English with RMG, and this video is proudly brought to you by IOTA Virtual Learning Platform. So, students of literature, what is diction and dialogue? Or first, let's take it one after the other. First, what is diction? I know that as students of literature, you commonly say that diction is the author's choice of words. However, diction is quite deeper than that. So let me give you an analogy to solidify your understanding. So, this is my analogy. Let's assume that you know some Mr. Olu. Just imagine that you know a man called Mr. Olu. Then you have these three lines about Mr. Olu from different persons. The first person say, I'm very sorry, we lost Mr. Olu. Somebody said that to you. Then another person says, Mr. Olu has finally kicked the bucket. Did another person say, oh, the beautiful soul of Mr. Olu has left us in this sinful world. So these three persons have said the same thing. They've all announced the death of Mr. Olu. But considering the words alone, can you imagine the context, the situation, the scenario, and the person that must have used each of these lines? The first line, if you think about it, you can pause the video for a while to answer this question before you continue. So the first person that says, the beautiful soul of Mr. Olu has left us in this sinful world is probably a family member, someone who loves Mr. Olu dearly, someone who is close to Mr. Olu and who genuinely loves Mr. Olu. So he's going to feel like, oh, he left this sinful world. The second person that says, Mr. Olu has finally kicked the bucket. This person is probably an hater of Mr. Olu, someone who does not like Mr. Olu, just be like, oh, the foolish man has finally kicked the bucket. Just with the choice of words, you can imagine who the person is and the scenario in which this person is going to say it. And the last line we have, I'm very sorry, we lost Mr. Olu. So this looks like what a doctor is going to say to the family after confirming that someone is dead. Maybe Mr. Olu was ill, he was rushed to the hospital. The doctor did what they could do. They come out and, announce to the family, I'm very sorry, we lost Mr. Olu. So just by the lines, you can tell who is likely to say this. It is still the same thing. Mr. Olu has died. But just by the lines, you can tell who is probably talking. What is this person probably trying to say? The purpose of the conversation and the context, that is the situation in which such words are going to be used. So it is not just the author's full liberty to choose any word. The author needs to consider a lot of things: the purpose of the conversation, the situation of the conversation, and the audience, that is, the person whom the author is addressing the issue to. So, all of this is going to inform the author's choice of words. So, it's not as if when you say the author's choice of words, it's not as if the author has the liberty to go and choose whatever word that they like. So, you can better define diction as, you could say, is like choosing the right outfit for your words based on who you are talking to, that is your audience, where you are, which is the context, and what impression you want to make, which is the tone. So, choosing diction for literature generally, not just African drama, literature generally is an intentional effort by the author in order for him to choose to suit his context, his audience, and also the impression he's trying to make. So, I just want you to understand that the author is not fully at liberty. The author is also constrained by the purpose of the literary text. Do you understand? So now let's go to the second concept, which is dialogue. what is dialogue after we've explained diction. So we all know that students of literature, you would say dialogue is like conversation between two persons, but it is deeper than that. So you could say dialogue in drama is the spoken exchange between characters in a play, film, television show, or other scripted performance. It is the primary vehicle through which the story is told, characters are revealed, conflicts unfolds, and themes are portrayed. So before you could say this particular character is wicked, he must have said some things in the play or in the performance for you to say, oh, this character is wicked or this character is kind. So through dialogue, a lot of things are revealed in a play. The characters are revealed, even the themes are portrayed, not just the character, because it is from what the character do that you'll be able to say, oh, these are the themes of this play. Do you understand? So I'm just saying this so that you understand it better and you have a deeper understanding of the concept so that if you are asked to write on it, maybe in your literature examination, you will know where to come from. You would set yourself apart from other literature students who are just going to say dialogue is a conversation between two or more people in a play. Don't just give that definition. Make it deeper. Let your examiner know that you know better. So, as opposed to real life conversations, dramatic dialogue is carefully crafted and chosen by the playwright to serve specific artistic and narrative purposes. So, it's just similar to diction. It is not just a play, it is an intentional effort. So, we could say that diction is the fire behind what? Dialogue. The author needs to be very intentional about the choice of words first, diction, in order to form a dialogue that is what purposed for. Now, what is diction and dialogue in African drama? What is these two concepts in African drama? So, dialogue and diction in African drama are fundamental tools that help playwrights reveal African oral traditions, cultural rituals, African social political experience, etc., through the use of vernacular integration. So before I continue, or okay, let me just continue. Code switching, proverbs, idioms, local metaphors, and performative diction. So you need to understand that African drama is a purpose effort by playwrights to show the world who Africans are, what Africans experience. Do you understand? African unique experience, African psychology, etc. So, in order for any author to do this, he needs to consider these tools, such as local dialects, code switching, performative diction, and the use of African proverbs and idioms. So some usually the proverbs and idioms will be translated to English, but it is still going to carry the African cultural identity, such that if a native English speaker should read some of the proverbs, they won't even understand it because it has the African cultural identity. It is the proverbs are formed from African experience, African way of thinking, African psychology. Do you understand? So African drama is unique to Africa. It has to have African culture, African color. So that is why the author needs to include the local dialects. These local dialects will let us know that, oh, this is Africa. It is native to Africa by purposely include a little bit of, African dialects in the play. Also, we have code switching. In Africa, you can speak English, but usually while speaking English, you just use some of your native language. So that is what is called code switching. You move from your own native language to English in between one sentence. So it is natural for Africans to do this. So you also need to put that in your play as an African drama because you are telling African experience. Also, we have performative diction, which is quite versatile as well. So let's look at each of it one after the other. Let's begin with local dialect. I said that we are going to use Let Me Die Alone and The Lion and the Jewel. So in The Lion and the Jewel, we have these lines. It is actually a song in Africa, like a native song in the Yoruba land. So we have Yokolu Yokolu, kò wá tán bí ìyàwó gbọ́ kan ṣánlẹ̀ ọkọ yọ. Okay. So this is on page 44. Why should we have this Yoruba song in an English drama or in an English play? It is because it is an African drama. So it has to have this African feeling. the author needs to bring in local dialects. So let's say you are asked to discuss diction in the Lion and the Jury examination. You need to come up with lines like this to support your claims, whatever it is that you're saying, that, oh, in African drama, the author needs to be intentional about using local dialects, performative diction, everything that I've said. And you also need to go in with some of these lines. Maybe you try to learn it for a while before your examination day so that you know it offhand. And don't forget your page number as well. So also we have here moteni, 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 sumomi, we mommy, sumomi, we mommy. Yarabi lo meyi to le domo. So this is on page 64. This is this song at a wedding ceremony. So if it were to be maybe a Middle East song or a Western song, you won't find it in an African drama play. It is Africa, so it needs to be what to show African experience. Also, we have the inclusion of name of characters. You cannot write an African drama and then you are giving us names of people who are not African. So we have, if that is true, then I am more esteemed than Bale Baruka, the lion of Ilujile. Look at it. Bale. This is a Yoruba word, African word. The name, the title of what? The chief. So the name of other characters are Sidi, Lakunle, Sadiku, Baruka. Then the name of the town, Ilujile. So you cannot write an African drama and then you are having Charlottetown in Canada. No, it's not possible because it's supposed to show us African unique experience. So it has to be what African name. So that African could now be Nigeria. It could be South Africa. It could be Ghana, depending on where the author is writing from. Do you understand? But if it is Africa, it has to carry African characters, African names. And if the plays are going to be performed as well, they have to be what Africans. So also we have this in Let Me Die Alone by John K. Kagbo. So we have the names of characters and places. We have Gbaya, Yoko, Lamboy, Geneva, Ndabi, etc. So these are African names. Also the name of the chiefdom, we have Senium and we have Mende chiefdom. So you're not going to have New York because you want it to sound whatever. No, it is an African drama. Even if you reside in the New York, if you want to write about Africa as an African, you need to use what? The African names. Also, we have local titles. We hear some characters saying Poro man, Poro bush. Poro is not an African word. It is a name for their secret cult. Do you understand? But because it is particular to them, it is their secret cult, it has to carry an African name. So we have these lines. You are a Poro man. I'm a Poro man. And he is also a Poro man. How then can I do that to him? So Poro is used as a title because it is unique to Africa. It is a name of their secret cult. So there is no way you can say you want to translate it into English because it is a unique title in Africa. Do you understand? So the author has to use it like that. This helps the world to know that Africa also have their own way of doing things. Are you following? Also, we have this where Madame Yoko was citing examples of women who have successfully ruled their kingdom in the Mende kingdom. Maybe kingdoms that are familiar to them there. So we have Take Yoka, Kema of Galu, Fangawa of Wando, Mandagbelo of Lap Mama, Woki of Tukia on page 8. So all of these titles and names of places are what? African names. Do you understand? So also we have this conversation between Lamboy and Geneva. So it's the native way of greeting in their kingdom. So we have BCA Kabu Yena, then Geneva responded, Kabingwe Muma. So this is their language. It is an intentional effort by the author to bring in lines like this so that the play can be what? African, can have this African feeling, can have this touch of the reality of Africans. So also we have code switching, the use of code switching. It is an intentional effort. It is an African drama, so it should portray African experience. So if it's because we are talking about dialogue and diction, that is why we are only talking about the use of language. There are other things that the author needs to bring in into any African drama in order for it to be African. So that is why this video is a series. Make sure you stay around this channel so that you can watch every other thing about African drama besides dialogue and diction. Do you understand? So for code switching is the use of the native language in between English. So let's have this line from The Lion and the Joe by Wole Soyinka on page 31. So we have Oyayi, beyond a doubt, Sadiko. So Oyayi is a common word in the Yoruba land that is used to like say kudos to someone. Do you understand? Or like you are doing well. It's better like you are doing well. So the author can write you are doing well, Sadiko, but you are doing well does not really portray the way a native person would want to show the same level of appreciation. Do you understand? So it's better to just say Oyayi. This shows that African also have their own unique way of using language. Also, we have these lines. Akowe, teacher our Akowe, Africa, Yoruba word. Teacher, English, wa, Yoruba. Teacher wa is our teacher in English. Do you understand? Mr. Kunle, he could have said Mr. Kunle, but he said Mr. Kunle. So this is domestication of the English word into Yoruba. Guru morning, Guru morning. That is all we get from Alakowe. You call at his house, but all you get is Guru morning. Will Guru morning wet my throat? So this can be seen on page 16. So students of literature, if you are preparing for any literary examination, make sure that whatever lines that you want to use to support your claims, make sure that you know the page. It's very important. So here, Baraka was teasing Kunle in this particular scene. Do you understand? But we are more concerned about the use of language. So let's focus on that. Look at these lines. Akowe. If you have read the book, you would know that Baraka spoke good English in the play because Wole Soyinka is an author who likes to use advanced English. That is the language that he uses. But he used this language here to show that Baraka is a native man. So he's going to include the native language in his own dialogue. It's an intentional effort to show the world who Africans are, what a native man is going to do, how a native man is likely to speak the English language in his own land. Do you understand? Also, we have this. It makes me feel as if I was Chief Baseje. Baseje is a Yoruba word. Do you understand? So it is an intentional effort to bring in some of the native language into English. It is just the natural way we speak English. A lot of times when we speak, we just chip in some native language. So as the author too, you want to write about Africa, you need to show the world this part of Africans. So also we have this from Let Me Die Alone by John K. Kago, where Musa said, I don't have his Ngafo. Ngafo is African native language. So Musa here is being reluctant to Lamboy's desire of killing Chief Gbaya. Are you following? So also we have this line, Ndake. No, I don't believe that. Ndake is not an English word. Do you understand? So it is an intentional effort by the author to make the word see how we speak the English language, depending on the character that is speaking. So also we have here, those you slaughtered and whose fat you used for your bofima. So bofima here is likely to mean ritual. Do you understand? So Lamboy here was blackmailing Musa. I'm focusing on the use of language alone because this video is on dialogue and diction. There are other functions that these words are supposed to perform. So that is going to be in another video when we are discussing other things, maybe concepts or the psychology or characterization in African drama, depending on the concepts that we are discussing in African drama. Do you understand? So it is an intentional effort to show the world how we use the English language, how we use language. Because we have a first language and we have a second language. So these two, when they come together, they kind of adapt. There's a way we assimilate it into each other. So now let's move on to proverbs and idioms. As I've said earlier, English also has its own proverbs and idioms that are native to English. But as Africans, we have proverbs and idioms that are native to us as well. So now that we've acquired the English language as our second language, and we are having professors of English, professors of literature, Nigerians or Africans as a whole I'm making intentional efforts to translate some of the native proverbs into English. So here we have African proverbs in English language. Do you understand? So for example, here we have, if the tortoise cannot tumble, it does not mean that it can stand. So this proverb is, there is the African version of it. Do you understand? If I want to translate it. But because the author is an African, he is able to do what? Translate it into English. Also, we have another one. Until the fingernails have scraped the dust, no one can tell which insect released its bowels. So this can be seen on page 43, where Sidi and Baruka were conversing at the wrestling scene. Do you understand? So also we have another one. Soon my voice will be the sand between two grinding stones. So this is an idiom. So this is Baraka's response to CD after the match. So this is like a native idiom that have been translated into what? Into English. So you need to understand this. Some of these proverbs, an English person is going to read them and they're not even going to understand what it means. Why? Because it is native to Africa. It is the language that has changed, the diction that has changed, but the meaning, the deeper meaning, will still be traced back to African culture, to African experience. Do you understand? That is why it is commonly said that language and culture are intertwined. So we have, the child still thinks she is wiser than the cutting head of age. That's another proverb. So from Let Me Die Alone, we have, when the loins of a husband catch fire, that fire must be quenched instantly, on page 1. Baya speaking with his wife Yoko. So here it does not mean that the husband's loins is going to catch fire literally. No, it is an idiom. Do you understand? So it is an African idiom that has been translated into English to serve the purpose that the author is intending to serve, to show the world who Africans are in English language. Are you following? So also we have, peace is only found in the eyes, on the head of the sacrificial lamb. So here, Banya is speaking with Yoko, his wife, as he worries about the Mende chiefdom and his life. So here, Banya is trying to give us an analogy, or what we could also say a kind of idiom of what peace means. So he says, long after that head has been severed from its agony racked body, peace is found in the limp body of the dead cock when its feathers are being plucked out. So he's trying to say that peace can only be found with death. It is only when someone has died that the person can only find peace in this world. Do you understand? But in order to say that he has said all of this, which is native to Africa, translated into what? Into English. Also, we have Lamboy threatening Musa to swear if he hadn't killed anyone before. That is when he was blackmailing him to kill Maya. So we have, a madman may eat his own shit, but will never play with fire. So this is also another African proverb that has been well translated into English, page 13. Again, student of literature, do not forget to put your page when you are lifting whatever lines. Maybe it is an examination or it is an assignment. Always put the page. If it's an examination where you need to read ahead, just try to, write out the lines a long time before the day of the exam and practice almost every day or whatever day that you have literature on your examination preparation timetable. Practice, read it again and again. Before you know it, you would know the lines and the page offhand easily. So also we have performative diction, which is also one of the tools that is used, that dialogue and diction is used for in African drama. So what do we mean by performative diction? It's kind of deep, but let me just give you the summary. When we say perform, the diction is meant to carry out some function. Through this particular diction, you will be able to tell what this character is up to, who this character is. Are you following? So it is an intentional effort of the author to choose this diction for this particular character so that you can know the character better. In the case of Africa, it has to be that the author wants to reveal some African experience. So it needs to be intentional about choosing some words. In The Lion and the Jewel, for example, Lakunle has these lines. Within a year or two, I swear, this town shall see a transformation. Bride price will be a thing forgotten, and wives shall take their place by men. A metal road will pass this spot and bring the city waste to us. We'll buy saucepans for all the women. Clay pots are crude and unhygienic. No man shall take more wives than one. That's why they are impotent too soon. So look at these lines. You would know that this person is averse to tradition, to African tradition. He wants something new. He wants something modern. He wants something Western. When bride price will no longer be a thing, when women will no longer cook with what? Clay pots. How do we know that this is all what Lakunle wants? We know this by what? By the lines, by his dialogue, by the author's choice of word, diction to form his what? Dialogue. Also, we have the ruler shall ride cars, not horses, but a bicycle at the very least. So we have pages 36 to 37 for these lines. Do you understand? So by those lines, we could tell who Lakunle is. Also for Baroka, we have yes, yes. It is 5 full months since last I took a wife. 5 full months. So for a character to say this, you can already tell that this person is a polygamist. Africans are known to be polygamous. Do you understand? So, but for Baraka to say this, Lakunle, who is depicted as a symbol of modernity, should not have this kind of lines. So it is an intentional effort, which has to be what consistent with the purpose that the author is trying to do what to portray. Are you following? Also, we have CD who says, "Oh, you really mean to turn the whole world upside down?" So this is CD's response to Lakunle, which reveals that CD is also a traditional girl. Although she is caught up in between at some point, but she is still the traditional girl eventually. So these thoughts of future wonders, do you buy them or merely go mad and dream of them? So with these lines, we can tell that CD does not believe in Lakunle's view of modernity, of the future where everyone is modern and women no longer need to do their traditional chores, where they have freedom, where bride price is no longer paid. We can tell that CD does not believe in that. So in Let Me Die Alone as well by John K. Kagbo, we have Go Back to Bed. This is Maya speaking to Yoko. Yoko, you are a woman. Your brain was made for music, your feet for dancing steps that will fire the loins of any man, and your body for that bed, not for the important affairs of the chiefdom. So, this is an intentional effort by the author to choose this diction to form Bayans dialogue, to show that many traditional African men do not believe in a woman having leadership qualities. They only believe that a woman has a role in the home alone. Also, we have Lamboy. Here we have, if the secrets of the arts are known, blood will be spilled, for blood had already been spilled. I have dreamt of power of governing here in this chiefdom of Moyamba. It has now come my way, but for just a few days, how beautiful it is to sit on this throne, regarding your subjects, minions cringing in your presence, passing judgment over them, wielding the power of. So on and on like that. With this line, we can tell that Lamboy is what? Is desperate for power. And he has decided to kill and continue to kill in order for him to get that power. So we have death or life overall. No wonder Yoko does not want to give up. I have started walking towards this seat of supreme power on the road of blood, and there is no turning back. First, it was Maya, and now Geneva. Next, it may have to be Yoko herself, for she guards this throne so jealously. So, with these lines, we can tell who Lamboy really is. So, this is how authors use diction and dialogue in African drama. Do you understand? So, don't forget to always back up whatever claims that you have in your literature exam with evidence. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to let me know in the comment. Also, don't forget to always write your page numbers. Do you understand? Also, please share this video with your friends who are also preparing for any literary examination, especially when it has anything to do with African drama. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment. See you in the next video. Bye for now. Thank you.